The silent observer. Captain Elena Reyes stood motionless on the bridge of the Shadow Veil, Earth's most advanced warship, hidden from both terrestrial and extraterrestrial detection systems. Through the view screen, she observed the gleaming silver structure nestled in the Mare Imbrium crater, the Galactic Confederation's lunar outpost. For 70 years, the aliens had watched humanity from this observatory, documenting what they believed to be Earth's fumbling steps toward becoming a spacefaring civilization. Status report. Rise commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of what was about to unfold. All systems optimal, Captain, replied Commander Takashi. Quantum displacement field maintaining at 100% efficiency. We remain completely invisible to Confederation sensors. Reyes nodded. The Shadow Veil represented the pinnacle of human achievement, a vessel constructed in complete secrecy beneath the Antarctic ice sheet, while the world's governments publicly stumbled with outdated rocket technology and orbital stations that drew patronizing amusement from their cosmic observers. Communications, patch me through to Artemis Base. Secure channel Theta. Channel open, Captain. Admiral Chen, this is Reyes. We're in position, monitoring Confederation transmissions as planned. The weathered face of Admiral Chen appeared on screen. Excellent timing, Captain. Our intelligence suggests the Confederation representatives are gathering for their quarterly assessment of Earth. This session is particularly important. We've detected unusual communication patterns suggesting a significant shift in their approach toward us. Reyes's jaw tightened. For centuries, humanity had maintained a deliberate facade of technological incompetence. After first contact in 1957, when the Sputnik launch had inadvertently attracted the attention of a passing Confederation scout ship, Earth's leaders had made a calculated decision. Rather than revealing their true capabilities, they would appear primitive, learning all they could about the complex galactic political landscape before announcing their presence. What's changed, Admiral? Resources, Captain. Our deep cover operatives report the Confederation's Scientific Council has completed their geological survey of Earth. They've discovered concentrations of rare elements in our crust that exist nowhere else in known space. Elements that could revolutionize their propulsion technology. So we're no longer just an anthropological curiosity, Reyes concluded. Precisely. The assessment has shifted from quaint primitives to sitting on valuable real estate they don't deserve. The Diplomatic Council is voting tomorrow on a proposal to accelerate our development through direct intervention. Reyes understood what this meant. Throughout observed history, the Confederation's interventions with developing worlds invariably resulted in puppet governments and massive resource extraction programs. The supposedly primitive humans would be offered technological trinkets while their planet was systematically stripped. Then it's time, she said. Admiral Chen nodded gravely. Operation Revelation is authorized. The Shadow Fleet is mobilizing as we speak. Your mission remains unchanged. Infiltrate the lunar outpost and gather final intelligence before the reveal. And if the vote happens before we're ready, then you are authorized to execute Protocol Omega, immediate revelation of our capabilities to prevent any binding decisions. After the transmission ended, Reyes turned to her crew, 30 of Earth's finest, representing every continent and major nation. Project Umbra had united humanity in ways the public couldn't imagine, transcending old divisions in the face of potential cosmic threats. Prepare the infiltration team, she ordered. Quantum displacement suits activated and synchronized with the ship's field. Commander Takashi approached, offering her the sleek helmet that would complete her own suit. Permission to speak freely, Captain. Always hero. We've been watching them watch us for 7 decades. Part of me wonders if we've waited too long. Reyes secured her helmet. The founders made the right call. The Confederation spans thousands of worlds, hundreds of species. We couldn't risk showing our hand until we understood the game. Lieutenant Santos, their xenolinguistics expert, joined them. Latest intercepts confirm representatives from 14 major Confederation species are present for this assessment. including High Assessor Kolvak of the Arcturian Dominion. Rise raised an eyebrow. The Arcturians rarely attend these backwater evaluations. Further evidence that something significant is happening, Takashi noted. All the more reason to proceed carefully, Rise replied. Infiltration team with me. We'll use the abandoned maintenance tunnels the Confederation built during their initial construction. Their bioscanners still don't detect our quantum-shifted signatures. As the team prepared to depart, Communications Officer Park looked up from her station. Captain, we're intercepting a live feed from inside the assessment chamber. Putting it on screen now. The view screen shifted to show an opulent chamber where various alien forms sat in a semicircle. At the center podium stood an Arcturian, tall, blue-skinned, with 4 arms gesturing methodically as it spoke. Must consider the ethical implications of continued non-interference, High Assessor Kolvak was saying. These humans have demonstrated remarkable adaptability despite their technological limitations. Their potential as a labor force alone would justify intervention. A reptilian Draconis representative hissed skeptically. Their primitive social structures would make integration challenging. They still organize in nation-states and wage wars over ideological differences. Precisely why guided development would benefit them, replied Kolvak. Our previous assessments projected they would achieve unified global governance within 200 years. We could accelerate that timeline significantly. A delicate-looking Proximan fluttered its wing membranes anxiously. The conservation protocols explicitly prohibit interference with developing worlds except in cases of imminent extinction events. Which is why, Kolvak responded smoothly, our proposal includes a staged revelation of cosmic realities. We would present ourselves as benevolent guides, here to help them overcome their environmental crisis and resource limitations. Reyes exchanged glances with her officers. This confirmed their worst fears. The Confederation wasn't planning a brutal takeover that would violate their own ethical codes. Instead, they would manipulate humanity into grateful servitude, presenting technological gifts with one hand while claiming Earth's resources with the other. Prepare for immediate departure, Reyes ordered. We need to document everything for the Security Council. As her team moved toward the airlock, Reyes paused to look once more at the lunar outpost. For 7 decades, humanity had watched from the shadows, learning, preparing. The Confederation believed they were studying primitives who had barely mastered rocketry, unaware that those same primitives had already surpassed many of their technologies. Quantum displacement, gravity manipulation, dark energy harvesting. While Earth publicly celebrated reaching Mars with conventional rockets, secret fleets had already established bases throughout the solar system and beyond. Today, the charade would begin to end. Not with an impulsive revelation, but with the final pieces of intelligence needed for humanity's calculated emergence onto the galactic stage. Let's move, Reyes said, stepping into the airlock. It's time to show the Confederation that underestimating humanity was their greatest mistake. The Reckoning. The grand assessment chamber of the lunar outpost gleamed with polished marble imported from 17 worlds. Captain Alina Reyes and her team, invisible within their quantum displacement fields, positioned themselves strategically around the room. Through her enhanced visor, Reyes could see the 14 Confederation representatives in their full spectrum, including the ultraviolet patterns on the Arcturians that conveyed emotional states invisible to normal human vision. High Assessor Kolvak was radiating confidence. Distinguished representatives, the Arcturian continued, I present our comprehensive proposal for Earth Integration Initiative. Our simulations project that with proper guidance, humans could achieve Confederation Associate status within 60 years. A holographic display materialized, showing Earth transformed. Megacities connected by vacuum tubes, orbital rings harvesting solar energy, and massive excavation sites where outdated human infrastructure had been replaced by Confederation technology. The resource extraction would, of course, be presented as technological exchange. Kolvak explained. Critical elements would be harvested for Confederation use, while humans would receive technologies considered obsolete by our standards. The Draconis representative leaned forward. And the resistance. Humans have demonstrated remarkable stubbornness in their brief history. Minimal, Kolvac assured. Our psychological models suggest 82% of humans will embrace what they perceive as benevolent alien guidance. The remaining dissenters will be isolated and discredited through strategic information management. Rise felt her blood boil. She tapped a sequence on her wrist panel, transmitting everything to the shadow veil. The evidence was damning. This wasn't merely cultural observation. It was the planning stages of a sophisticated conquest. The Proximan representative still seemed uncertain. This proposal borders on violating the prime directive of non-interference. These humans believe themselves alone in the universe. A technicality, dismissed Kolvac. Our observation post on their moon technically constitutes prior contact, and their primitive attempts at radio communication can be interpreted as invitation for response. I've heard enough. Rise whispered into her comm. Initiate Protocol Omega. Commander Takashi's voice came through her helmet. Captain, are you certain? Once we reveal ourselves. They're voting now, Commander. If they formalize this proposal, the Confederation's bureaucracy will make it nearly impossible to reverse. Execute the protocol. Understood. Shadow Fleet assets moving into position. Quantum field disruptors online in 3, 2, 1. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet deactivated their concealment systems. Dozens of advanced warships suddenly appeared in Earth orbit. Monitoring stations on Mars, Europa, and Titan revealed themselves. And on the dark side of the moon, barely 5 kilometers from the Confederation outpost, the massive Earth Defense Headquarters materialized, its weapons systems powered but not yet targeting the suddenly vulnerable alien facility. In the assessment chamber, alarms began blaring. A flustered aide burst through the doors, chittering urgently to Kolvac in the Arcturian language. Impossible, the High Assessor responded, blue skin paling to lavender. Verify your readings. The readings are accurate, said Captain Rice, deactivating her quantum displacement field. Instantly, she and her team became visible, their advanced combat suits making even the Confederation's elite guards look primitive by comparison. The chamber erupted in chaos. Security personnel moved to protect the representatives, drawing weapons that Rice knew were designed to stun rather than kill. With a slight hand gesture, she activated a localized energy dampening field, rendering their weapons useless. Who are you? Demanded Kolvac, recovering composure remarkably quickly for someone facing what should have been impossible. How did you penetrate our security? Captain Alina Rice, Earth Defense Force, she replied calmly, removing her helmet. As for your security, it was adequate against the technological level you believed we possessed. On the chamber's main display, the Earth transformation simulation was replaced by a real-time feed showing the shadow veil decloaking near the outpost, its sleek, dark hull bristling with technology, clearly beyond anything in the room. This is one of our older vessels, Rise explained casually. We kept it in service primarily for its historical significance, the first ship capable of complete quantum displacement. The Draconis representative hissed in disbelief. Your kind was celebrating primitive chemical rockets merely decades ago. Yes, Rise smiled thinly. We were quite convincing, weren't we? A necessary deception while we studied the true nature of galactic politics. She gestured, and Lieutenant Santos activated a holographic display of their own, showing footage of Confederation meetings spanning decades, private discussions, secret votes, classified assessments of other worlds that had been guided into servitude. We've been monitoring your communications since you established this outpost, Rice continued. Your encryption was challenging at first, but we made it a priority. After all, when unknown entities take interest in your world, understanding their intentions becomes rather important. Kolvac's upper arms crossed defensively, a gesture Rise recognized as an Arcturian attempt to regain psychological control of the situation. If you possessed such technology, why maintain this charade? You could have joined the Confederation decades ago. And become what? Another client state. Another source of resources and labor. We observed how the Regelians were guided, how the Tausetians were elevated. Their worlds stripped, their cultures homogenized, their people serving Confederation interests while believing themselves fortunate to have been noticed. The Proximan representatives' wing membranes fluttered nervously. This is unprecedented. No species has ever concealed their advancement in this manner. Perhaps more should have, Rais replied. Now, to business. You were about to vote on Earth's future. Allow me to save you the trouble. She activated her comm. Admiral Chen, if you would join us. The chamber doors opened again, and Admiral Chen entered, flanked by representatives from Earth's Unified Security Council, leaders from every continent, walking with the confidence of equals, not supplicants. Representatives of the Galactic Confederation, Chen announced formally. Earth hereby announces its existence as a sovereign interstellar power. We reject any classification as a developing world subject to integration protocols. We have prepared a comprehensive diplomatic package outlining our proposed relationship with the Confederation moving forward. One of the Earth delegates stepped forward, offering data crystals compatible with Confederation technology. The gesture wasn't lost on anyone. Humans not only understood Confederation technology, but could manufacture it. This isn't possible, Kulvak muttered, ultraviolet patterns showing what Reyes's translator identified as profound confusion. Our surveys, your public broadcasts, your primitive space stations, all part of an elaborate facade, Rais explained, one that served us well. While you watched our carefully choreographed development, we studied your strengths, your weaknesses, your internal politics, and your technological limitations. You speak as if we are adversaries, the Proximan objected. The Confederation brings unity and progress. On your terms, countered Admiral Chen. Earth chooses its own path. We've observed how the Confederation treats lesser species. How convenient that your ethical protocols permit intervention when valuable resources are discovered. Kulvak's composure was cracking. You cannot expect to simply declare yourselves a power and be recognized as such. There are protocols, assessments. Those protocols apply to developing worlds. Rais interrupted. We are not developing. We are developed. She gestured to her wrist display, and the chamber's screen showed Earth's hidden infrastructure. Massive underground cities, orbital habitats cloaked from observation, shipyards throughout the asteroid belt. We've established colonies on 17 exoplanets, Chen added. Our quantum communication network spans 30 light-years. We've made contact with 3 non-Confederation species who share our concerns about your expansionist tendencies. This last revelation sent visible shock through the chamber. The idea that multiple advanced civilizations existed outside Confederation knowledge shattered their perception of galactic dominance. What do you want? Asked the Draconis representative. Practical as always. Recognition of Earth and its colonies as a sovereign interstellar nation, replied Chen. Non-interference guarantees, fair trade agreements if you're interested. We have much to offer through legitimate exchange rather than exploitation. And if we refuse? Kulvak asked, a dangerous edge in their voice. Rais smiled. We're not threatening you, High Assessor. We're simply establishing facts. This outpost exists on our moon by our tolerance. It can continue to exist as an embassy if you wish, or it can be dismantled and replaced with your own embassy on Earth. We're flexible on the details. The message was clear. The power dynamic had permanently shifted. We will need to consult with the High Council, Kulvak said finally. Of course, Chen nodded. Take all the time you need. Our fleet will remain in position until arrangements are finalized. As the Confederation representatives huddled in urgent discussion, Rais stepped aside with Admiral Chen. Do you think they'll accept our terms? She asked quietly. Chen watched the aliens with experienced eyes. They have little choice. Their entire assessment system is predicated on technological superiority. We've just demonstrated that their superiority was an illusion we allowed them to maintain. Furthermore, the revelation of other non-Confederation powers will send shockwaves through their political system. And if they attempt military action, they won't, Chen said confidently. The Confederation maintains peace through the perception of overwhelming advantage. They haven't fought a significant conflict in centuries. Their warships are primarily ceremonial, impressive but untested. Reyes nodded, watching the increasingly agitated aliens. So begins a new chapter. Indeed, agreed Chen. Humanity emerges onto the galactic stage, not as supplicants or proteges, but as equals, perhaps even as leaders of a new coalition. 3 hours later, the preliminary agreement was signed. Earth would be recognized as a sovereign interstellar nation with all rights and protections afforded to Confederation members, without the obligations of membership. The lunar outpost would be converted to a proper embassy, with Earth establishing its own diplomatic presence on key Confederation worlds. As Captain Reyes returned to the Shadow Veil, she looked back at the silver structure that had watched Earth for so long, unaware that they were also being watched. Humanity had learned patience from the stars themselves, waiting, observing, preparing. Now they would step into the galactic community on their own terms, their sovereignty secured not through violence, but through foresight. The cosmos would never underestimate humanity again.